No, there's one of my doctors, my kidney doctor.
All right, and here we are for Husky Hoops. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. With me, as always, the icon, legendary voice of the Huskies, the best of the best, Joe D'Ambrosia. Joe.
Special edition Husky Hoops.
Yes, we have a special edition Husky
You should have a breaking news banner across the top.
I know. Hey, we predicted we would have one team in the national championship, and that is what we're getting. So we are giving our fans a tease, a little prediction before the game starts tonight from our experts, which includes UConn women's legend and current Western Connecticut State University head coach, part-time movie star. And if you need a coffee table put together, she can do it. And it's Maria Conlon.
You can? You put together furniture?
You're on mute.
Yeah. I'm on mute? Can you hear me now?
No, you're not.
You're not now.
Yeah, I'm like the go-to person to put everything together. I could build decks,
wow,
build furniture. Yeah.
We did our show Friday, and she's putting together a coffee table.
Nice.
and she got it done. She got it done in like 15 minutes. It's just
my only request to my mom is not to get stuff from IKEA because there's like 1,000 pieces. But
I know, so you can't keep track of it all.
Yeah,
you cannot keep track of it all. So I guess we will start with the UConn women and the loss they took against South Carolina. And, I watched the game, and, we all did. What were your thoughts? I mean, do you think this is a blip or more of a reset for the UConn women? I mean, they have the majority of the team coming back. And I mean, do you blame the coaching? Is it the is it the players? Did we turn the ball over too much? I mean, just your thoughts overall on the game. Joe, Maria.
I think Maria's the expert. Yeah. Maria's got to go first.
I mean, look, listen, I think that, personally for me, and we talked about this, I think the week or two before, Joe, I really didn't feel like we were challenged much all year.
Exactly.
I think our out of conference schedule is not as strong as it's been in years past. With that said, I think we saw a team that really hadn't played great all tournament. We've been talking about that. They had trouble putting the ball in the hoop. I felt like their defense was strong. And look, I don't think either team played exceptionally well.
No, it was very low scoring.
Night. I think South Carolina played a little less awful than us, and they got the victory. I mean, I think in a national semifinal, if you're only scoring 48 points, you're going to have a tough time winning. And I thought that our stars weren't stars on Friday.
No.
You got to call a spade when it happens. I mean, AZ Fudd was, not herself. I didn't think she played well. Even Sarah Strong. I mean, the one thing about Sarah, I think, which makes that matchup hard and would have made yesterday even harder, is that when you don't really have another big that's playing well on both ends of the ball, and she's got to spend a lot of time getting banged up in the paint, eventually it wears on you from an offensive standpoint. And I think we saw that. I think we're not that deep, which we've kind of been saying all year. I think what really killed us on Friday was Blanca picking up those couple of fouls early and not giving us that third potential scorer on the floor for a lot of minutes, which we really needed. As predicted, and one of the things I said last Wednesday, Ashlyn Shade, I thought, got a little trigger happy in areas where she took some quick shots where we probably didn't need those. And, South Carolina ended up being the better team Friday night. So, I don't think it's a coaching thing. I think we got to hit the portal hard, Joe.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that we got some glaring things that we need to address in terms of personnel. And we're not graduating a lot of seniors that played a lot of minutes the other day, but we are graduating quite a few. I mean, what do we got? 4 seniors. We got Caroline, Patterson,
Right.
Brady, and
Ice was,
so I think you lose a lot of leadership there.
I think Ice is trying to transfer.
When Carol walks out the door. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think Caroline does a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we don't see. That I think we're going to miss.
We're starting to hear about it now. Look, I think you're 100% correct in everything you said, Maria. They got outplayed. They got out-toughed. AZ didn't have a great tournament to begin with.
No.
Sarah tried to do it all herself. Look, when we look at the season as a whole, Sarah Williams didn't give them anything like they thought they were going to get from her.
Nothing.
When they plucked her out of the portal.
Big Ten player.
When they go into the portal this time, I hate to say this because I don't want it to sound like being critical of the coaching, but they can't make that mistake again. They got to bring people in. It's like Aiden Mahaney and Sarah Williams. Sometimes you're going to hit in the portal, sometimes you're not. And Sarah Williams never turned out to be the player they thought she was going to be. And look, I mean, it would have been nice if they had gotten to the championship game because a lot of people would have gotten free furniture. But I don't think they would have beaten UCLA the way UCLA was playing. And UCLA, and here's the thing, everybody in Connecticut was rooting for UCLA because of what happened Friday night. All right, whether right or wrong, everybody was rooting for UCLA. And what UCLA showed was you could have 5 seniors and grow them and have a championship team. And that's exactly what they did, which is why that was actually the feel-good story of the weekend. For Corey Close, who's been there forever, who learned at the foot of John Wooden in his later years, and for those kids to stay together and develop as a champion was a great story to see. And that they took South Carolina to the woodshed. And there could be no bullying of the officials, which I've heard a lot of people, in fact, people I totally respect on national sports radio talking about that game on Friday night. Dawn Staley bullied the officials, and what the NCAA's got to do is, and I'm not saying the officials were the reason they lost, don't get me wrong, but South Carolina was allowed to play that physical style that UConn couldn't handle. So what the NCAA also has to do is get officials who aren't going to allow themselves to be bullied. And we saw the officials get bullied on Friday night, which does not, and look, we all love Gino. It does not absolve Gino for what happened at the end of the game. And he apologized. And no, he didn't apologize to Dawn Staley, nor should he have. He still has a beef with Dawn Staley, obviously. He apologized to the other members of the staff and to the team for taking away from their moment. But won't that game in the Mohegan Sun be juicy in November?
I might go up for that, Joe.
I think we might have. I think it might be a date night, Maria. Tell your significant other that you got a date that night.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, and I don't. I think as a former player, as a current coach, and just of someone that respects coach the way that I do, I'll speak on it briefly because I don't want to belabor the fact of what happened on Friday. But
nor should we, because it's 72 hours old.
But in like part of the problem for me is that you have all these analysts talking about how it took away from South Carolina. It only took away from South Carolina because you guys keep talking about it.
Right.
Stop talking about it, and then it'd be over, right? Oh, he should have apologized Friday. Oh, he should have said Dawn's name. Like, we're getting crazy, and I think if the roles were reversed, this would be a much different narrative. I think that's the frustrating part for me. And I actually think our boy Dan Hurley said it the absolute best when he was asked about the altercation. He said, listen, Gino's a genuine guy. He's always been a class act. He deserves the benefit of the doubt. And he certainly doesn't need to be called the things that he's being called in the media and the things that people are saying. A little bit over the top. At the end of the day, what he was talking about was traditionally, after the starting lineups, the 2 coaches go to half court and they shake hands when the names are called. Last year, in the same exact game, he stood out there for a while and like literally had to like wait and go like this to get her to come over. And then she finally did. And he did walk out the other night and she never came out. So I think that, whether that's petty, that it's a respect thing or whatnot, it is traditional. I mean, I watched Pat Summitt and him do that for years while I was there. So I think that was his frustration. Listen, Joe, you and I know him well enough to know that the second that happened, he was pissed off that he did it and
Sure
upset
he was.
with himself that he did it.
Of course
But
he was.
emotions are running high. Your team didn't play well. The refereeing was the refereeing. And it's not like he's never been in that spot and lost that game, right? So I don't think it's like always being a baby because he didn't win this one. So he's been there. He's been to the Final Four plenty of times and not come out on top. So let's not act like this is the first time. But, I think that just the way that it was handled in terms of the things that they're saying I didn't love. And again, the perpetuity of it, like just drop it. You want it to be about UCLA and South Carolina, be about it. I could not be happier for Corey Close, not just because of what happened on Friday night, but to your point, Joe, I felt like, and I said this early in the season, UCLA was the one team I was really nervous about
You
playing
were afraid of. Yep.
in the national championship game because to your point, you have veteran players now who've been there for a while. They've gone there and lost. They know what that feels like, and they've been dialed in all year. I mean, they only lost one game all year long. So, I couldn't have been happier yesterday just for the Betts sisters. I mean, winning a national championship with your sister is really cool. Jaquez, or however the heck you say her name, man, that girl is a player.
Jaquez was the best player on the floor of the championship game.
Oh, I thought, I mean, granted, I know they take both games into account when they name, the most valuable player, but you take her off the floor yesterday and it's a much different game. I still think UCLA wins, but I mean, that kid does everything.
27 and 5. That's a national championship performance.
Yeah, I mean, they almost
assists.
had 6 kids in double figures. So, it was spread out. It wasn't one kid dominating the game. I thought they had a really good game plan from the jump. And they're crowned champions. And listen, they deserved it. It was their year.
Yeah, no question. No question. Can't add anything to that.
What did you think hurt AZ the most?
Let me I did want to add, Stevie, let me interrupt you for a second. Let me also bring up one point here. So, at the interview after the third quarter was really lit a lot of people's fire when Gino went off on the officials and said Sarah got her shirt ripped and 6 fouls and stuff. Here's my whole problem with that. That's not live. That's taped. So somebody at ESPN had the chance to bleep out when Gino said the S word, which by and large maybe might not take a lot of people by shock, but when in that context, it adds to its veracity, right? So somebody at ESPN had a chance to dump that. Was the person who worked the dump button taking a dump? That's my question.
Well, not only that, Joe, but listen, as a Connecticut-based TV station, you also are, who is the one that's cutting Dawn going over and shaking the whole staff's hand before the game when that's not even what Gino, and you guys know what Gino's talking about, but you keep showing that loop instead of showing the loop where he's standing at half court waiting for her to come over.
You can't, I will say one thing, Maria, you can't, it's not it's located in Connecticut. It's not a Connecticut-based TV station.
But you know what I mean. He does a lot for ESPN being here in Connecticut that he's asked to do.
I don't think that has.
Well, either way, it was the inaccurate loop. Whether they're in Connecticut or they're in LA.
Absolutely correct. So that's absolutely correct.
Yeah, I mean, and even the analysts at halftime of the game after that, bringing it back up and showing the press conference. I just thought all of that was in poor taste.
Focus on the game. Focus on the big win for South Carolina. Don't make it
let me take the journalistic view there. I think you've got to show the press conference. Mm-hmm. I don't think the two analysts, who I don't really care for, needed just show the press conference and move and tell people you can make up your own mind. Let's get back to the game at hand. I didn't need to hear what Chinea Gumake, who begged her way out of the Connecticut Sun to further her TV career, had to say. Andrea Carter, I have a little more slack for because I respect her. But I don't need to hear Chinea Gumake yell and give me her thoughts.
Yeah, well, right. And then again, talking about the shaking of the hands and looping in the pregame staff handshakes.
Yeah.
Like, listen, we all know what he was talking about. Anyone
It's
who has half
done
a brain
for a
knows what he was talking
reason.
about.
It's done for drama. It's
But again,
done
here
for
we are
ratings.
perpetuating this. So let's move on.
Let's go on. Let's go to the men.
I just wanted to say, what did you think impeded AZ and Sarah's performance the most?
South Carolina.
Was it?
Clearly.
It was their defensive plan.
Well,
And
they did exactly what I said somebody should do if they want to beat us. Chase easy off the
did say
3-point
that.
line.
Yes.
And
Don't
they
let her
wrapped
get
them up.
settled.
They got away with playing physically.
Yes.
Yep.
They were
She
very,
was-
very physical with Sarah from the beginning. You know, Raven Johnson was literally shoving her in the back in the post to get her out of there. You know, and that wasn't – and you know what's funny, Joe, watching the game yesterday, they didn't allow South Carolina to do that to Lauren Betts. They called those fouls, and they called them early.
Right.
They did not
Even-
do that on
even-
Friday night. Yeah.
Even the UConn game, I thought, was overly physical at times. They let a lot of stuff go against Illinois. But, the game against Illinois was interesting. I thought we came out firing on all cylinders, or at least came out with a little bit more passion and energy and hit more shots than we did against Duke. And we took the lead and we held on to it throughout the entire game. Joe, what were your thoughts about Illinois, especially early on?
Mullins and Reed played really well early on. You know,
Yes.
it took Karaban never found his game.
No.
Solo, and we'll talk about that coming up, was obviously playing injured, and Devery's still not 100%. I thought, they held on, but again, you know, it's another case. We've seen this 3 times in this tournament or 4 times in this tournament of them hanging on by the skin of their teeth. Now, that's
Right.
one of two things. Either they're playing on the edge or they're such a good team that they can do that. I would think it's the latter. I think this appears to be one of those teams, Maria and Steve, that can play with fire and get away with it. And maybe tonight they can't. Maybe Michigan's too good and they can't do that. Because this will clearly be the best team they played tonight. There's no question. In my mind, there's no question about that. But as far as Saturday was concerned, yeah, they hit shots when they had to, and they never let Illinois take the lead. I think if Illinois had taken the lead, it would have been a real issue. Okay?
They
never let Illinois take the lead. Ball hit a couple of big shots. Mullins hit that huge 3 to make it a 7-point game. And the other thing is they're hitting their foul shots. And foul shooting was an issue for them during the year. Now, and as we expected, because when you looked at the numbers coming in, Illinois took a crap load more free throws than UConn did, because that's the way UConn plays. They foul.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We want to talk about South Carolina. UConn fouls as much as South Carolina did.
Yeah. I mean, UConn, I believe we were 16 of 18. We only had 18 free throws. Illinois, I believe, had 23, but we did have the higher free throw percentage. Reed and Mullins led the team in scoring. Solo Ball scored in double digits at least, but yes, he is injured, and we hope that he's playing at a high percentage tonight because we're going to need him. The biggest issue, I think, I mean, we play tough defense, but the scoring, Michigan has scored 90 points. They've beaten all 5 teams by double digits. The question is, offensively, can we hang with them? And defensively, can we stop them? Because, as we know, Michigan has quite the player in the paint, and Terrace Reed is playing against his former team. Is it Ade Mara? I don't want to say it wrong. Their big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's going to be the matchup: Mara against Reed. Do you think that? Reed has.
Well, let's go back. I don't want to hear Maria's thoughts on the Illinois game before we put that to bed. Go ahead, MC.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, once Mullins came out and came around that screen and hit that three early on, and Reed got things going, I thought we would beat Illinois. I wasn't shocked at all. I got a little concerned because they were in the double bonus with like 10, 11 minutes left.
The
Which,
officiating.
when you start,
No, don't blame the officiating.
Yeah,
That's happened all season. Steve, you sound like these pom-pom waivers on X. That's not the officiating. UConn's gotten in foul trouble.
No, we do every game. We do.
Let me finish. Almost every game this year. When it happens all the time, it's not a surprise, okay? I expect them to be in foul trouble tonight, which I think will be the end of them against this team. But go ahead, Maria. I'm sorry. I had to interrupt there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't arguing I wasn't arguing about any of the calls. I didn't think that it was, oh, that was not a good call. But, when we are putting someone on the line for double bonus to score,
right, exactly.
For 10, 11 minutes in the second half, it can become a danger zone. I thought they did a good job of still playing through that really well.
Yep.
And I thought overall, we got minutes from, listen, I thought Ross was great off the bench again.
Yeah.
He had some really great moments in the game. I thought going in that we were a better team than Illinois. So I really wasn't shocked by it at all. But to Joe's point, I think Hurley said it. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Michigan is like the Space Jam monsters. And then there's us because, they line up and they get out there and you're like, they're like grown men. It's crazy. So if we get into foul trouble early tonight, it's going to be a really, really, really long night for UConn Nation.
Well, especially Reed. You hate to put it because Ryba's not. We've seen in the tournament this is above Ryba's pay scale so far.
Yeah,
he had a really good regular season, but he's kind of been undressed in the tournament.
Do you, Joe? So, like when I was watching the game, the Michigan game the other night. Listen, I'm curious to see what Hurley and his staff come out in tonight, because I do think to that point, maybe the best route is to hit them with some junk zone defenses to protect Reed a little bit. So I personally think we got to see some of that tonight, because I think having him marked against Mara from the jump tonight, 1-on-1, I think if Michigan's smart, they go right at Reed, because if you take him out of the game, it's over for us.
But I think the other matchup I agree totally, Maria, but I think the other matchup that's more important is who's going to guard Lendeberg, because we've seen Alex, unfortunately, big guys, Boozer, and a little bit on Saturday night, he's getting beat inside. And if you put him on Lendeberg, if Lendeberg's close to 100%, Lendeborg, then I think that's a bad matchup.
Yeah, I agree, which is why I think we got to hit some junk zone defenses tonight, so that nobody is really ISO'd 1-on-1. Because Reed can't guard both of them, so somebody else is gonna, and you can't put Reba and Reed in at the same time. I don't think that's gonna work either. No. So I'm looking for some zone defense tonight, and almost honestly saying to them, you got to beat us behind the 3-point line.
Well,
I think that's our best bet tonight. And I'm not saying that's a sure bet, because they got shooters too. They got a little bit of everything. But I think if this becomes Michigan getting a ton of paint touches, because here's the other piece too, is if our guards, let's just say our guards can't contain them from getting in the paint. Now you got Reed coming over on the help side, potentially picking up fouls. But even more importantly, now you got the weak side rebounder. Once you pull Reed over, who the heck is going to drop and box out these other guys that crash the boards really well? So I think you pack the paint and you basically say, you guys got to beat us. You got to beat us outside.
That's what I thought Demery did a good job of Saturday. He had 7 key rebounds, and he's a guard. He was in there fighting for the ball, and he got key rebounds.
You're right, Stevie, but Illinois is not Michigan size.
No, not even close.
He's not doing that against 6'9", 6'9", 7'3".
No. Well, but we were just talking about this. Do you think Michigan's pace and the volume that they shoot 3-pointers will beat our discipline and length, being able to get out and cover them, will that be a key to this game, like you were talking about?
Well, I mean, they were 12 for 27 on Saturday.
They shoot.
So you take 35. So that's maybe 40% of their shots were 3-pointers. But look at how many 3-pointers we cracked up. We look like the Celtics at time. For God's sakes, as many 3-points as we took out. No, I don't. Even though we play at a slower pace, I think we can. The problem when we play at a quicker pace is sometimes a guy like Smith, a guy like Demery, even Solo, will make some bad decisions with the ball in the open floor, and that causes live ball turnovers. So I think you want to run when you get it. You want to get down court before their bigs can get down court, and certainly Reed can run the floor better than Mara. But I think I don't think their 3-point shooting. We do a decent job guarding the three. I don't think that's going to be a big issue.
Who do you think overall this season is more battle tested? Is it Michigan or UConn, just because of our resume? You know, we've had some comebacks and we've fought through injuries. We've had an easier schedule, but
much easier.
Yeah, that's why.
I mean, look at the conference. I mean, just in the conference schedule alone, Maria, that's proof positive that they've had a much tougher schedule. So, and look, here's the thing: it's one game, and I know we talked about this with the women, but that's really two ends of the spectrum. But it's one game. Who you played in the previous 37 games doesn't matter. You come out, you play your butt off for 40 minutes. If you're the better team, you bring home the hardware. If not, it's you've had a great year, but it's disappointing.
Were you surprised that Michigan seemed to have Arizona had beat them with ease, and Arizona didn't give them a better game? Did you think they would have more of a struggle with them?
Go ahead, Maria.
I didn't think it was going to be a complete basic. Michigan controlled that game from the jump. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. But again, Michigan is they're so loaded.
Yeah, they are from top to bottom.
And they're big.
Don't you think? I mean, the way Michigan's blown through this tournament, Maria, they're kind of like the way UConn did in 24. Just beating the crap out of everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, is that the year UConn set the record for beating teams by the most points in the NCAA tournament?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, here's another. I mean, listen, they're winning by a lot of points. I think the scarier part for us is that they're scoring like 90 points a game. We can't do that. We're not going to score 90 points tonight, guys. No,
we're a 70-point team.
They're a really, really. I'm telling you, we got to pack it in the paint and hope they have an off shooting night.
There's a thing I think of in football, and I think of it now in basketball too. And I've thought of it in basketball. If Michigan gets to 81 points, can UConn win that game? And my thought is no. If it's a game in the 70s, UConn can win. If it's anything above 79, then UConn's going to have a hard time winning.
Yeah, we just don't have the offense.
And I think what Joe said before, I mean, listen, we're just analyzing this game based off of the facts that we know in the matchups that are in front of us. That doesn't mean that, listen, at this point, I don't put anything past Hurley and his staff being able to pull off.
Can happen. Yeah.
I mean, listen, we could come out tonight and play the greatest game that we've ever seen the UConn basketball team play and play flawless and walk away with a win. I'm not saying that this is an impossible game for us, but I think that when we look at the matchups and we look at the way the two teams have played, Michigan has been the most dominant team in the tournament by far. They have the most pieces. I like their coach,
Yeah, he's good.
So I just think from a player personnel matchup standpoint, I think it's going to be a really tough game for us. But at the same time, it's the national championship. It's April in Connecticut, and I don't put anything past Dan Hurley.
Couldn't say any better, Maria.
Joe, I read this on
Yes, Steve.
Yahoo, and I
Oh,
don't
wait,
know.
I have a quick. Does Herb have any questions?
We're gonna get. We'll get to those.
Okay.
I read this on Yahoo, and I just wanted to know if it's accurate. They had an article that said Hurley has a history with tonight's refs, including technical fouls, ejections, and past poor interactions. So, is the officiating crew a big threat to UConn tonight? And do you see Hurley possibly getting a technical?
Well, yes, James Breeding. They've had him for 12 games this year, and he's had all sorts of problems with James Breeding. You would hope in a national championship game that wouldn't be a factor, but with personalities being as they are, he's also Jeff Anderson, who used to be a Big East official. He's had issues with in the past, and in the old days, Kip Kissinger was a technical machine. Back a long time ago when I was doing games and I had privy to those kind of stats. But you can't go into a game worried about that. You'd hope that these guys that everybody will understand the enormity of the situation. But am I concerned that if James Breeding makes a couple of bad calls, that Dan's going to go off? Yeah, that would be a concern. But look, it's like Maria said, it's 8 years now. That's who the guy is. We know who he is as a coach. He's volatile. He
wears his heart on his sleeve.
He wears his heart on his sleeve. So if he gets a technical tonight, depending on what it is, it's not the end of the world.
No, I agree. Maria, your thoughts?
I agree. I mean, listen, no matter what, the referee's got to be professional tonight. This is a clean slate. You're a professional reffing a game at this level. I don't care what the heck has happened throughout the year, the last 10 years. It should be a clean slate tonight. You got to referee the game as the solo game that it is. Individual game of tonight. Ball gets jumped up. Whatever happens. I would like to think that the ref will be professional enough to move forward from that. And I mean, listen, Dan's going to be Dan tonight.
Right.
I mean,
right.
He's not going to say, "Oh, geez, that guy's giving me a couple of technicals. I'm going to tone it down." I don't think the guy has like a toned down button.
No, but there's no.
Not while the game's going on, he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be him. And like, listen, I think part of what makes him great and part of what makes his players really love him is that intensity, that craziness that you see in his eyes and the way he fights for his guys, right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm not saying I agree with the actual vulgarity or the things that he says, but the intent behind it is always in a way where your players can get behind. And I think they do. And I think they kind of fuel off of some of his antics sometimes. So he's going to be him. I think he'll be smart enough to table it in a way that doesn't get him removed from the game and also doesn't change the game, from a free throw perspective, technical foul, etc. I'd like to think that he'll be smart enough to do that. But
and the referees, as you said, will be smart enough to understand the situation.
Well, especially because just like you were able to find that on Yahoo, Steve, people are going to be like clued in on that. They're going to be clued in. Like, was he going to call more fouls because he has an issue with Dan? People are going to be watching that stuff too. So, I expect everybody to be professional.
Yes.
I'm hoping
it's a national championship.
Listen, I'm hoping it doesn't start till freaking 8:50. So I'm hoping it's a good game. For me having to stay up that late, but on a Monday night, and hopefully, obviously, bleed blue. Hopefully, we come out on top. And like I said before, I won't be surprised if we win tonight. Not in the slightest.
No.
But I don't think they will.
No,
okay, yeah.
it's gonna.
Listen, from a pure matchup standpoint, in the way that Michigan's playing, I think it's not probable, right? But I've seen crazier things happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think that. I think we were in the same mindset. I don't think they will. I won't be surprised if they do.
Yeah. Listen, I want them to win, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
We all do.
Well, Schumann doesn't because he's not on the call. So Schumann's obviously a hater.
Well, I told you he's got more important.
And that should be. And when you put clips up, That clip should be on there. That Shoe me's a hater.
I'll make the clips. Yes.
No, please don't.
No, I know. Who do you think is going to be able to control the rebounding, especially on the offensive glass, that will decide those very, very valuable second chance points? Are we going to be able to do that? I mean, we were pretty good against Illinois. I know Michigan's a completely different team. Will we have an edge, or will at least be able to keep pace with Michigan rebounding?
Listen, we're gonna have to rebound by committee tonight.
I agree.
I don't think you're gonna shut Michigan down from the boards, right? We got to find a way to limit them, specifically on the offensive boards for them, because they get a lot of second chance opportunities. But it's going to have to be in committee. And listen, if we go into some type of junk zone, et cetera, which I think we need to at times.
So we did play some zone against Illinois. I mean, I wasn't noticing it. I was just curious.
No, not much. I mean, it's in a full court pressure type of situation, but
yes,
I think we got to do it a little bit differently tonight. And I think we got to change it up and keep them guessing from an offensive perspective. We can't let them get too comfortable sitting against the same defense, for tons of possessions in a row. But yeah, I mean, listen, Reed's got to have a game. He's got to stay on the floor. Like I said, I don't think you're going to stop Michigan from rebounding, but we got to try to limit it, at least in certain pockets. And I think switching up defenses and not letting them get too comfortable with an offensive flow will be key.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan out rebounds their opponents by 10 per game, and they crushed.
That's what I saw. Yeah.
They crushed Arizona on the boards.
And listen, there's a difference also between out rebounding people and rebounding that really hurts you, right? Like, we can't let them come down and get 2-3 offensive rebounds in a possession, because those are killers, right? They're probably going to end the game with more rebounds than us. That would be my guess. Right. But when and where are those rebounds, I think, will be crucial. I think the guards, they got to chase down long rebounds if they're going to be taking threes. And
they got to win 50-50 balls.
100. We got to get out in transition. Yes. That was one thing, actually, Joe, that I didn't mention on the women's side that I thought we did a really bad job of. We got no transition baskets the other night.
Right.
Right. I think our guys got to get out and run on some of those bigs. I mean, listen, Reed can run the floor.
He gets up and down.
I think we got to push the ball. I think us getting into a grinded out half court offense with them will be tough, because they just have great rim protectors. But I think transition.
There's a path to victory. It's not. Yeah, there's a path to victory, and this coaching staff will find it. It's just a matter of executing it. And I would hope in his last game, Alex goes out with a big game. If he doesn't, it's not going to diminish what he's done here. But for his lasting legacy, I'd like to see him get 25 points and 10 rebounds, or 22 points and 8 rebounds and 4 assists. I just want to see him in a win. I just want to see him go out with a big night, because he's earned it. He's deserved it.
Okay, Joe, from my father.
Hello,
he wanted to know your take on the team that had the toughest path to get to this game. He believes UConn overall played tougher teams to get to the national championship game. Michigan rolled through everyone. They did beat Arizona, but for us, beating Duke like we did, beating Michigan State, and Bruce Pearl praising and saying how great the Big Ten is, we knocked off 2 of the top.
Okay, can you tell Herb something? I don't know if that comes from Herb or not. Let's not pay any attention to what Bruce Pearl says.
No, Let's not
pay any attention to what Kenny Smith says. Let's not pay any attention to what Charles Barkley says.
Yeah.
Bruce,
It was me who said Bruce
Barkley
Pearl.
and Smith have no knowledge of college basketball.
No, they
Pearl's
don't.
And Pearl is Bruce Pearl. I'm just going to use a nasty word.
I just get mad when I hear him talk.
Yes, I think UConn. Yes, Herb. Good question again. Good to talk to you. Yes, I think by beating Michigan State and Duke, UConn had the tougher path to get here.
Maria, do you agree with that? Do you think that we had the tougher path?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I thought we were in the toughest bracket.
No question.
That's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Which is why, like I said, nothing will surprise me tonight.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like,
Steve, you know
I think
what?
most people didn't think they'd be in this spot. So,
Right.
whatever.
Well, I didn't. Not that I know everything. Steve, you should start a podcast. Herb Knows Hoops. You and your dad on a podcast.
Yeah, he'll love that. And he questioned the spread. The spread really bothered him. Michigan being favored by 7.5. He thinks that's a lot. I think, judging by what Michigan has put out offensively and how they've dominated throughout the tournament, 7.5 is warranted. It's not going to be a 1.5, 2-point spread. Do you think 7.5?
I will say this
high?
after having watched these. No, I don't think it's high because
I
I
don't
think
either.
the odds
No.
makers. I think the odds makers are usually pretty good at determining. Now, look, we were 9.5 point underdogs to Duke in 1999. How did that
Correct.
work out? Right.
Correct.
So that it's just they're trying to induce money being bet on the games. That's what
I
the
agree.
spread's all about.
I agree with that.
Honestly,
Maria?
I'm shocked it's that low.
I thought it was going to be higher too.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
I mean,
gonna be
after
higher.
watching Michigan play all tournament, you would think that, because again, they've been scoring 90 points and we've been scoring in like the 70s. So
70s, yeah,
I'm surprised it's not a double-digit spread, to be honest.
right.
It's hard for them to do. See, if they do double digits, that's not going to induce people to bet. So I think that's the reason.
Yeah, I think it would, because
No, not
if
really.
I saw a 12-point line, I'd be like, all right, I'll take UConn. I think they could do it under 12.
Yeah, not as
7.5,
many people.
I'm like,
Not as many people think that way as you think. That's the whole thing is to try to induce.
It's probably why I
people
don't
to-
gamble.
People, right, exactly. Well, I don't gamble either, except coming on this podcast twice a week.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is just some rapid fire questions. Who has the coaching edge tonight? Hurley or May?
Hurley.
First to get to 70 points wins. True or false?
False.
False.
More threes tonight, Michigan or UConn?
Michigan.
Michigan.
Okay. Will this be a classic or a blowout?
Closer to classic than a blowout.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think they're going to get blown out tonight.
No, I don't
Okay.
think they might lose by 7 or 8 points, but it's not going to be a blowout.
Agreed.
And then, Maria, I had asked you this on Friday when we talked about the women's game, so I'll ask for the men. I'll change the terminology. Who, for the men's team, do you see, besides the starters, being the X factor off the bench that can make the most difference?
Probably Ross.
Yeah.
I'll tell
he
you
gets
who's got to
some
be the
shot.
X factor. I'm going to change the wording on that, Stevie. I think Ryba's got to be the X factor because I think at some point, not to come in and be a star, but when Reed goes out, he's got to hold the fort. And if he can do that and get Reed rest, then we have a better chance. If he comes in and falls all over himself and they've got to rush Reed back with foul trouble, then you're looking at big problems. So I would say Ryba. And I would also say Stewart, who for being missing so much time, has played pretty well in the times that he's been in. And he can knock those threes down, you know.
He had a big one. Yeah.
Give him some fed. But I would say Ryba would be my guy.
Yeah, they went a long stretch in the second half with the majority of their backups, and they held their own and did enough to keep UConn in the game. And then when the starters came back, they took over. So I think they did.
Well, I think at one point though, Maria, and I don't know if I texted you this or I probably meant to. I thought he kept the subs in a little too long, as that lead was slipping away.
did.
I would have brought this. He had one point where he had 4 subs in the game. I
Yeah.
might not have done that for as long as they did, but it worked out. So what the hell do I know?
Yeah, he kept them in right until I think the 6-minute mark before he started putting guys back. But yeah, Ryba has got to definitely step up. All right, so the final prediction. Well,
What do you think? Let's put you on the hot seat once.
Listen,
boy.
I got UConn winning. If UConn wins, I win 2 brackets. I picked UConn to win, and I picked UConn Michigan. This was exactly what I picked. I have complete second thoughts now because Michigan is rolled. My biggest thing is I despise hearing everyone bash the Big East Conference. That drives me nuts. Everyone bashes the Big East Conference. We don't belong. We're not good enough. We don't play enough competition. I want us to win for us and for the conference, just to show that everyone out there who is an expert, a pundit, an analyst who knows college basketball better than anyone can bash the Big East up and down as much as they want. UConn is still there. UConn can still come in and beat anyone in the country. And I think we've shown that throughout the tournament by beating Michigan State, Duke, and now Illinois in the Final Four. And if we can beat Michigan, it's the perfect ending. I hate how the Big East is framed and treated, and most of it is warranted. But to do that to the conference when you have us and we are still in the national championship, not a Power 4 team, I think that shows that we have the determination, the desire, and the grit to compete with anyone. And it doesn't matter what conference you put us in, we'll still do that. So that's why I pick us. And I loved how Coach Hurley said it in his interview at the last 2 games. He credited, Coach Calhoun, Kevin Ollie, Gino for building the culture that surrounds UConn basketball, the expectations, the work ethic, the drive, the determination. And, he's just there to take it and run with it and keep it going and take it to the next level, put his stamp on it, which I really thought was great of him to say. So that's why I'm going with UConn all the way.
Yeah, can I just want to say one thing about Hurley. Listen, I'm going to bleed blue tonight. I think it's a long shot, but the magic of Dan Hurley in these situations has been unreal. So I'm just going to roll with it. You know what I love that he does, Joe, and I don't know if you've seen this. He does this a lot too. Even though he has not coached any of these players, he constantly has these guys come back. Like I saw Charlie, I'm friends obviously with Charlie Villanueva, so I was looking at his stuff this morning.
I loved it.
And he has these guys coming in and doing motivational workshops with them. This was at 8:00 this morning. And I just think it's really cool because he's not a UConn guy.
No.
From before. And, I think us as on the women's side, I think part of the thing that you get nervous about when Gino finally leaves is, are you going to bring somebody in that's going to still connect the past to the present like he has? And I think if you're not a part of the family, that becomes really, really hard because you don't necessarily have the relationships with those kids. And I think what Hurley's been able to do with bringing in guys from all different generations of historically from UConn, going back to Elamine and Ray and those guys all the way up
to Rip Hamilton,
has been amazing. And what a huge opportunity for the guys to be able to
hear. I love seeing that.
So I think he's done a really good job with that.
2 things on that. You're 1,000,000% right. The fact that Dan embraces that shows his understanding of the culture. And he's brought back guys who were bitter at the school when Kevin got let go. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Ray
yeah.
Allen was not a happy camper when Kevin got let go. Donnie Marshall was not a happy camper when Kevin got let go. And they are in the fold. All the guys who have come back, I love, people ask me, and this is not turned about me, but people ask me, what do I miss most about not doing the games on the radio? It's the tournament. It's the Big East and the NCAA tournament, especially the NCAA tournament, when all the guys from the past come back and stuff. And the other thing that Stevie mentioned, that's 1,000% correct, and I'm going to drag a former football coach through the mud on this one, is mentioning Kevin Ollie. Okay? He gives Kevin Ollie credit for keeping the tradition low. We know the previous football coach that's now at Colorado State couldn't even bring himself to mention Randy Edsall's name, which just showed what a low class individual that coach was. Okay, so the fact that Dan mentions Kevin's name and Kevin has posted good luck and all good things on social media, I hope at some point, and we'll talk about this off air because it's not, but I hope at some point the 2014 team gets honored and Kevin comes back for that. That's my fervent hope.
I agree. I thought that was very gracious and honorable of him to mention everyone who has contributed to the UConn basketball program becoming what it has become, a national brand, a national success, and developing such a unique culture with the men and the women. And I really believe in all sports, and that's what separates UConn from everyone else. But
I know I got to disagree with you on one thing. The whole Big East thing, we've succeeded in spite of the Big East. Because don't forget, we also won a championship. I know, but the Big East bashing, I could care less.
I know.
If somebody's critical. I know that's your diehard personality, and I love that. But us winning tonight has nothing to do with the Big East Conference.
Nope,
absolutely not. Because we won a championship in the American, and nobody thought that ever could have been done. And
they'll never win one again.
Not without UConn in it, they won't.
That's what I'm saying. You could put us anywhere. If you read my blog article that I wrote last night, I said you could put us in the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC. Yeah, I said you could put us in the Sun Belt. It doesn't matter. We will always come through and win championships. I said it doesn't matter. So I appreciate you guys coming on a Monday morning, doing a little preview. This was important, and our fans appreciate it.
Where was Chris D today?
Oh, he might have been there. I didn't check the comments. No, he didn't. Okay. He
random time, Joe. He probably didn't.
Yeah, he didn't get the notifications.
He had nothing to bitch about.
We got lucky with that. But listen, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I think everyone gave spot on analysis of the breakdown of this game and what could happen. And, it's a national championship game. Anything can happen. Michigan has steamrolled everyone. However, we have been the little engine that could. We keep coming. And I just love that we never stop fighting. We never give up. And it doesn't matter the circumstance. And that's what it means to bleed blue. So, and we have just as much talent. We just have to execute. And the 4 turnovers against Illinois was the lowest number of turnovers of the year, which I think is very important. So for the legendary icon, voice of the Huskies himself, the best of the best, Joe D'Ambrosia, and UConn women's legend, Western Connecticut State University head coach, part-time movie star, and she can put together.
Great New Haven Hall of Famer, Maria Conlon.
I was there for that ceremony. Yeah. It was great. I got to sit at the table, and I'll tell you off air. But remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at Dave.
Hey,
Yeah,
do me
so-
one favor.